Hey guys, welcome so much to my channel. My name is Valentine Lister, and this is my Major Arcana series. All right, so today we are going to be covering the Wheel of Fortune card. Now, in this video, I'm going to tell you things that you are not going to be able to just look up and find in any other book. We are going to be looking into the secret symbolism of the card, and that includes the numerology as well as the astrological correspondence and the upright and reversed meanings. All right, so we're going to look at 3 different versions of the cards, and I am going to turn the camera over to them right now. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune. What do we have going on here? So right in the middle, we have the Rider-Waite version of the card, and so this is the most popular version. I know I sound like a broken record, but there may be people who are watching this series for the first time. But the Rider-Waite version is not the first tarot version. It is just the most popular. It was created by publishers Rider and Waite in the 1900s, and the artwork is by Pamela Coleman Smith. Have to give her a shout out. But tarot actually dates back to the 1400s. And is from Italy. It was an Italian playing card game back in the day. Then on the right, we have the version here. This is the Light Seers Tarot, and I'm using this one to show you because this is the first tarot card deck that I had. I love it. I connected to it right away. I had a reading from it, and I was like, I have to read tarot cards, and I got this. And then on the left, we have the version from the Way Home Tarot, and this is because this is the deck from the person who wrote the book WTF Tarot, which is one of the first books I learned from tarot cards. It's by Bakar Wintner. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. I also linked other books as well that I learned tarot cards from, if you're interested in. So anyway, let's get into what the card means. Okay, so on the cards, you should notice, or you might notice, that there's the numbers 10s. Like we have 10s here. And so 10, the number 10 represents an ending and a beginning. So it's both a completion because it's 10 right after 1 through 9, but also has the 1 there and it adds down to 1. So it's a completion and manifestation of a new cycle. It's also a new start. So it's time to reflect on the last cycle. We had cards from numbers 1 through 9. So we're going to reflect on what we learned through that journey and where it went. And, we're going to decide whether to stagnate in the familiar or try something new and make a decision. It's a transition, and it's a sign that a decision must be made. Secret symbolism, the wheel. Okay, the wheel in the middle of the Rider-Waite card right here. It's modeled after the medieval concept of Rota Fortuna, and that is the wheel of the goddess Fortuna. Now, who was she? She was the goddess of fortune and the personification of luck, like a Roman goddess. And so she could bring good or bad luck. Hey. And she was veiled or blind. And she's seen as impulsive, unpredictable. You don't know what she's going to do. She's also two-faced. And she represents duality and instability. Fortuna's father, you don't see her on the card, but this is her wheel. So Fortuna's father was the god Jupiter, or as the Greeks called him, Zeus, and she could be she could be bountiful like Jupiter. She's also associated with the cornucopia. Okay, so Fortuna's popularity continued through the age of Christianity. The writings called The Consolation of Philosophy by Boethius was part of this popularity. Basically, it was not cool. You probably could get, inquisitions if you worshipped other Greek and Roman goddesses, but Fortuna, everybody knows about fortune. So it lasted through Christianity after all those Inquisition times. So he wrote that the random and chaotic turns of fortune's wheel are both inevitable and providential. And even the most coincidental events are part of God's hidden plan or divine will. So she was seen as a servant of God. All right, so with the whole Christianity, this actually leads into the 4 figures you can see here on the card. Who are they? So they actually represent the 4 evangelists. You might better know them as the 4 disciples who wrote New Testament chapters in the Bible. And these books actually represent the Bible. Didn't expect to see this in a tarot card, right? I didn't. Anyway, So let's see here. Taurus, the bull, they're all represented by zodiac signs, each of these disciples. So Taurus, the bull, on the bottom left here, he represents Matthew. Leo, the lion, represents Mark. The eagle here represents Scorpio. The eagle. The eagle is the other archetype or expression of Scorpio. This represents Luke. And this guy, Aquarius, the water bearer, represents John. Now on the left, there's a serpent descending down. And so this serpent here, like moving on here, has multiple meanings or associations. So it can represent, like in the Magician card, Typhon, the monster who tried to overthrow Jupiter. It can also be seen, like we saw in the Lovers card in card number 6, it can represent the serpent of the Garden of Eden and the 5 earthly senses and sexual desire. The third association is it's associated with the life force energy or Kundalini energy. Okay, moving on to this guy here, this red guy, this red jackal-headed figure. This is Hermes Anubis or Hermanubis, and he was the Egyptian god and symbol of intelligence who was involved in the investigation of the truth. So, like I spoke about in the Magician card in card number 1, he's Hermes Trismegistus, that really intellectual guy who created astrology in ancient Egypt, combined with the god Anubis, which was common in ancient Egypt to like combine people with gods and make like a mixture, like a demigod. All right, so moving on to this guy at the top, the Sphinx with the sword at the top, he gives a nod actually to the Chariot card in card number 7 that we covered a few videos back. I mean, we've covered 1 through 9 so far, right? So this guy represents will and personality, like in the Chariot. And he also, because he's on this wheel, he represents stability amidst movement, like stability while movement is going on, and suggests that we are not always governed by chance or fate. No, but we have the power to change our own lives. So the ancient worshippers of Fortuna believed we could do this by virtue, by practicing virtues. And so let's go into like what's actually in this wheel. What are the symbols in this wheel? Okay, so there's 3 different circles in the wheel. So the inner wheel represents the creative force. The middle wheel represents formative power, and it has these like alchemical symbols in here. So this symbol on the right, like the triangle with the line with the cross on the bottom, represents sulfur. These little waves here represent multiplication, the alchemical symbol for multiplication. This circle with a line through it represents salt. And this little guy on the top, like it's actually like a figure across with a circle and like a crown on the head. Sorry, I'm like probably covering this up. This one represents Mercury. Okay, and so this outer wheel here represents the material world, and you'll see there's some symbols here too. Okay, and so it has 4 Hebrew letters in it. So this one up here is Hey. This one down here is Vav. This one over here is Hey. And let's see, which one did I miss? Okay, actually, okay. Oh, sorry. I mixed them up. This one is Vav and this one is Yud over here. And if I forgot to mention, those Hebrew letters represent the name of God, how you would pronounce the name of God. Okay, and then you'll also see letters you recognize, R-O-T-A, which it's like I looked and everybody had a different meaning for this. So it's one of them is Rota, right? Which means Rota means wheel in Latin, right? Wheel of fortune. So it could mean Rota for Rota Fortuna, for the goddess Fortuna. It can also spell Torah, which means law or teaching, because there are a lot of symbols from the Kabbalah, which is, I believe, like a mystical sect of Judaism. And then we could also spell T-A-R-O, tarot. So tarot cards, the Royal Road of Tarot. All right, so I was so excited to learn all about this history here. So we're going to move on to the light year variation and how that compares. And so I thought this was cool because this shows like the current day symbols that we associate now with chance in the modern day, right? We have the casino chips, right? If you're going to the casino, right? And we have dice around the neck. And these are games, right, that are unpredictable and can lead to good or bad fortune. And she also put in here the 3 levels in the wheel, right, in the inner wheel representing the creative force. And in the middle, we have formation, and she put the symbols for sulfur, the alchemical symbols for sulfur. And then on the outer wheel, we have ROTA, Rota, for wheel. And then it could also be Torah for law or teaching, or tarot for tarot cards. And why did they put sulfur on there? Because sulfur actually represents the alchemy of the soul. So on the top of this card, she's wearing a dress of purity, but she has these shoes that are brown, which brown means grounding. And so it's like she's finding balance in this yoga tree pose. And there's this like, she's finding virtue, balance, centeredness amidst change, amidst chance. And we have the forces of light and dark on each side. And we also have, like, in here, I don't know if you can see, it's in white. We have these triangles here, and they're actually alchemical symbols for the 4 elements on the card. So this triangle with the line on the top is air. This triangle with the line on the bottom is earth. The upward pointing plane triangle represents fire, and the downward pointing plane triangle represents water. And she's also on top of a mandala, which is a symbol of divine law and order, a divine plan, and the interconnectedness of life. All right, so on the right here, we have the Way Home Tarot version of the Wheel of Fortune. And I love this version because we have the Ferris wheel, a Ferris wheel from a carnival, representing the Wheel of Fortune. And to me, this represents like life is one big carnival. And it's a Ferris wheel with many colors, the many colors of life and the things we come against, both good and bad. And you probably can't see here, you know, from this video, but there are seats on the wheel, like on a Ferris wheel, and they represent like keeping you centered while moving around. And then we have the dark forces, right? We have the like mixed like thing, you know, good fortune, bad fortune. So we have the dark forces on the bottom representing the divine plan, and the stars on the top. And on the top, we have the constellations for those 4 zodiac signs, which represented the evangelists or the disciples. Okay, and so this one over here is Leo. And then, okay, I wrote these down. Okay, this one over here is Taurus, the bull. This one over here is Scorpio. And this one on the top represents Aquarius. Okay, next I'm going to go into the colors of the cards, because everything in the card means something. Everything in the card has symbolism, okay? And these colors, you can use once you know what colors mean, you could use it for anything that you're reading, anything you see in nature, in the world, stained glass windows, because that's one of the ways that colors were used to communicate messages. All right, so the first color here we have in the Wheel of Fortune, we have these gray clouds, and they represent wisdom. So it's the mixing of black and white. Then we have the color orange here, right, in these 2 wheels, kind of in this card a little bit too. That represents energy, activity, drive, and confidence. Then we have yellow here, mostly in the Rider-Waite version. We have yellow, and that represents optimism and enthusiasm and the soul. And then we have light blue. That's a big one that represents serenity, mental clarity, and compassion. So that light blue is like the sky, but also the Sphinx. We also have that light blue over here. And we kind of have all the colors in the wheel there. Then over here in this card, we have a lot of black. So that represents power, the unconscious, banishing, and wisdom. We also have black over here. Then we have red. We have the Hermanubis, and the wheels like on these casino chips, kind of red. Kind of have some red here, the red dice. And that represents desire, passion, vitality, and courage. Okay, so the astrological correspondence of this card, of the Wheel of Fortune, is Jupiter. And Jupiter is also known as Zeus. Jupiter is the Roman name and Zeus is the Greek name. And so he was the goddess Fortuna's father. And it was said that Fortuna was a lot like her father Jupiter. Okay, in the card nickname, I made up a nickname for this card, and it's Things Happen for a Reason. Now, if you don't know about the nicknames for this card, if you haven't seen the Major Arcana video, where I tell the major arcana a story in a progression so that you understand how these cards connect to each other. If you haven't seen that, go see it. I'm going to link it over here, up here on the right. I'm going to put a description in the description box below, because you need to understand that the major arcana is a progression of the story of all of the major life lessons that we go through in this life. The minor arcana is all of the little everyday things that happen to us. Okay, and the card meanings. So this is a card of chance. So it's just like flipping a coin. It's actually super easy to read this card of fortune, right? So if it's upright, it means good fortune. Fate or fortune is handing you success. So it's an unexpected turn of luck. It's a change of fortune for the better. New conditions, creative evolution within the laws of chance. And then if it's reversed, which means the cards come up upside down, I'll just do a little demo here for the cards. Okay, so if they're reversed, they come out like this, it means bad fortune. Fate is handing you a failure of an enterprise or action, setbacks, new conditions that require courage, stagnation, frustration, and endless work. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video on the Wheel of Fortune card. This is just a reminder that if you really like this video and this series, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for when I put out the next video. And the next card we're covering in the Major Arcana series is the Justice card. All right, love you guys so much. I will see you in the next video. Also, if you're watching, if you want to catch all the cards, make sure to check out my playlist on the Major Arcana, and I will also link an associated video right up here.